All right, so here we go. Mental Iron. Welcome, everyone. So I just finished my episode with Dave Palumbo on iron therapy. And so here I call the show on YouTube under my channel, Mental Iron. So welcome. And today I'm going to talk about, continue talking about the conversation I just had with Dave regarding Calum von Moger. And this was based on a video that Nick Trigilli did on bodybuilding and BS. I haven't seen it anywhere else. And Nick does, according to Nick, he checks his sources, so I have to trust that that's true. And what I understand is that Calum made some choices recently that are against what would happen or what he should be doing when it comes to keeping clean. He wasn't spending time with people who were keeping him clean. In fact, they were enabling him to do some unhealthy behaviors. Now, during the show, apparently there was, Dave found a picture from Calum saying that he showed a clean picture of Calum saying that he's going to start again. He's going to speak, he's clean, and he wants to move forward that way. So I hope if Calum does see this, or iron therapy, that he does see that, a lot of people do care about him and they're rooting for him. But I hope he keeps what I mentioned, in mind, because I generally believe he can do this. I know there's many mistakes he's made. I'm not focused on the mistakes people make. I'm more focused on helping someone be able to move forward. Hey, Pain Light Bane, nice to see you. Hi, nice to see you. So I'm just talking about Calum von Moger, and we can also talk about the Vancouver Pro. But if you guys have any kind of comments, if you have any questions, just feel free to post them in the chat. So with the Calum thing, any kind of addiction is tough. Now, the things that Calum was into, there was a bunch of stuff, and some of them are very, very potent. So again, it doesn't mean does it mean that even though he's going to try to be clean moving today forward, I think that's great that he's in that mindset, but I would want him to have the supports, especially professional supports, enabled to move forward, because they're going to give him strategies. It's one thing to say with willpower, I'm going to make it this time, I'm going to be clean. That's great, and the intentions are good. But as Dave was saying on iron therapy, life throws us these curveballs, or we get temptations, and sometimes we're in a spot where we don't feel mentally strong enough to say no, and we give in, and we might go with, let's say, people who enable this unhealthy behavior. Calum really has a lot of work to do. He does, he does have a lot of work to do. But, if I worked with Calum, I wouldn't, I don't give up on people. Now, they might give up on themselves. So, if he didn't, whoever he's working with, like for me, when I have clients like with Calum, I give them a strategy and I make them accountable. And especially in the beginning, when I work with addicts, we do check-ins every day. Because when you start going clean, yes, mentally you're like, okay, I'm sick of doing this shit. I want to be clean. I want to get my health back on track. And that's great. You want to do that. But it's kind of like, now when I say it's like a diet, it's not really like a diet, but in the mindset of it's good in the beginning, but then at some point the willpower goes downhill. And that's the same thing with trying to be clean, because we have something called cravings, whether they're food cravings, whether it's getting that high, whatever that feeling might be. That's when you're talking about addictions, and addictions are really tricky, guys. They're not cut for anyone who doesn't have an addiction. It's hard. It might be hard for you to understand, but having an addiction is a real struggle. It's a 24/7 struggle. So they can have a good day, but it doesn't mean they didn't struggle throughout the day. And like all of us, we only have a certain amount of energy. And sometimes during the day, that energy wanes. Sometimes it's stronger, sometimes it's weaker. And it's being able to negotiate when I'm having those weaker moments, how do I get through it? And that's why it's important for him to have this network of social supports. So that can include friends, that can include family, but definitely the professional supports are really important, because friends and family are good, but they're not objective and they're not trained. So for someone like myself, I would coach Calum on specific strategies. And I was telling on iron therapy, his meaning of life has been changed through, the injuries, through losing, the loss of his beloved dog. I mean, I know people were harping on me saying, because I made a comment that, dogs are better than people. A lot of people. Now, I'm not saying people are garbage. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying dogs are loyal. They're loving. That unconditional love. Obviously, I like dogs, but I mean, even if you don't like dogs, it's to saying there are some human beings who are not very kind in this world. And I think it's really, really important to be able to say, when you make a connection with someone, and in this case, Calum had a really good connection with his dog, and his dog died, and there was horrible circumstances around that. That leaves a hole in your heart. That's not fun. And this is on top of a lot of what happened with the injury with going off the cliff, and he had bicep tears and all this other kind of stuff. So his reason or motivation for being relevant and having that audience in his mind, I'm not saying from the audiences, I'm saying from his mind, it wasn't good enough anymore. He needed something, and he couldn't do what he would wanted to do before that gave him this, this rise to the fame, so to speak. Because who doesn't like having fans? He loves his fans. Calum's a good guy. The thing is that, yes, has he made a lot of poor choices? Yes. But does that make him a horrible human being? No. It means he's a good human being who's made some horrible choices. And that's what I want to kind of, educate people that, we get caught in this, they're a bad person because they did drugs. Are they? Are they really? Or are they a good person that's lost their way, has made some poor choices? They don't have a strategy in place. They don't have the social supports in place. Otherwise, maybe they would be making different choices. Now, are there people who are not doing themselves any favor because they keep making the mistakes over and over again? Of course. But does that still make them bad? And I use this in air quotes, bad people? No. They're making bad choices, but they're not bad people. So for people like Calum, and I know there's going to be a lot of people who say, give up on him. Why bother? He's a train wreck waiting to happen. Okay, I understand where they're coming from, again, based on his pattern of choices. But the thing is that, even this picture that Dave posted, he was clean, he's going to start over. If he has the social supports, including a strategy and plan, including a different meaning of life, this is something where a therapist could really help him with. I would love to work with Calum. I already have a game plan of what I would do to help Calum. But, if he's got that social support, if he's got those professional supports, I hope he's using them. I really do. And part of it is getting rid of the garbage. So anything in his place that's drug related, get rid of it. So if there are bongs, if there's whatever he's got, get rid of it. Throw it out. I don't even, even if it's in his house garbage, take it to the curb, take it to a dumpster, get rid of it. And people, you got some enablers for your substance abuse life, they have to go. If you want to be clean, they got to go. Be around people who are going to help advocate for you. They're not going to do the work for you, but at least they can support you. So I'm just going to check out the chat here because I see some writing. Change of meaning to life has purpose. I do see that's one of the first things I would do with Calum is I would help him find another meaning of life, because it's one thing to say I want to be clean, but what's going to hold him on when he has those temptations? You need that meaning. We need that goal. Because, and Dave brought a good point up, Calum knows what it's like to suffer. He was a bodybuilder. He knows. But there was a payoff. And right now, there's not a payoff for him. So that's why it's easier for Calum to fall back into those old patterns of behavior, because he doesn't have that thing. He doesn't have that goal. He doesn't have that meaning, because that can make all the difference in the world. Okay, Promo, welcome Promo to my channel. Is not for everybody. Okay, Promo, I want to hear your thoughts on that. Professional help is not for everybody. Can you say a little bit more about that? I'd love to hear what you have to say. Poor neural functioning in Calum's brain, which he needs to change and improve. The neural functioning, again, Do drugs affect your brain chemistry? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But I work with what we've got. So even though, let's say he's not using, you know, a lot of his brain functioning has been altered, it doesn't mean we can't use what is working. And that's the thing. We talk about, you know, think about when you have a certain amount of energy in the gym. I know, no, this is slightly different, but just to make my point, if you had a crappy night's sleep, and let's say you weren't able to have a decent breakfast, and you go to the gym, you're like, oh, I gotta do legs, and I didn't eat properly, I didn't sleep properly. You're not going to have as good of a workout. But I'm saying let's bang out the best leg workout you can, given what you've got. So when you have limited neural functioning, okay, so it's going to be impaired. I understand that. Let's use whatever we've got, and let's use every little morsel of it. And again, that's giving reasonable strategies as well as some positive kind of things to look forward to. And that's what Calum doesn't have. He doesn't have that tie-in. And I think that's really important for him to stay on track. Thank you, Pain Like Bane. Okay, behavioral-wise, not just damage from drugs. Great. Okay, thank you. Behavioral-wise, now, can you say a little bit more like that, Pain Like Bane, as far as what you meant by the behavioral-wise? Not just damage. You mean behavior as far as his choices, or did you mean something else? I just want to make sure I'm answering your question properly. So if you can further expand on that. Anyone else who's watching, if you guys have questions or comments about Calum von Moger and his decisions, also we can talk about the Vancouver Pro that just happened this past weekend. His choices. Okay. See, his choices, you see, when you work with anyone, when it comes to addictions, so, okay, specifically Calum. First of all, I'd look at his environment. What is around him? What's not healthy? These could be items, these could be people. Let's make some choices. It's about helping him, giving him a game plan. He needs a specific game plan he can follow. Because it's kind of like someone saying, okay, you know what you need to do to lose weight. Most people do basics, some form of training, usually weights, cardio, and you got to watch what you eat on a very basic level. But how you execute on that, and here's the thing, it's in the details that can make all the difference. That's why there's difference between people who are in fitness, which is great, or people who are actual bodybuilders versus bodybuilders who actually compete. Now, you don't have to be, I just want to clarify, because someone asked me before, if I'm, someone was asking me before, to saying, if I work out in the gym and I eat my meals like every 3 hours or whatever, and I'm watching what I'm eating, I'm being very mindful of my macros, I might give myself a cheat meal once or twice a week, and I'm training regularly. Does that mean I'm a bodybuilder, but I'm not competing? And I want to let people know, if anyone's watching, if they had the question, you don't have to compete to be labeled as a bodybuilder. If you're living the bodybuilder lifestyle, competing or not, you're a bodybuilder. Okay? Calum was a bodybuilder. He lived a lifestyle. He was very healthy. He worked out. He looked great. And he was a good role model. Do I think he can be a good role model again? I can. In fact, if he comes back from this, I think he could be even an even greater role model. And that's what he's missing. He doesn't realize the part of his meaning of his life is the number of people he can impact even more than what he's already done. Calum has done a phenomenal job, by the way. He's got a great following and people who are praying for him. That following can increase exponentially if he can get through this, because then he can be an advocate for other addicts to saying, hey, I lost my shit. I made a ton of mistakes, and this is how I came back from it. We all love a story of someone who comes back with a vengeance. And then even the newer fans will be like, wow, he did it, then I can do it. This gets me into the Vancouver Pro. I don't know how many of you guys know Antoine Valiant. He's had issues with addictions. He's had issues with injuries. And he just competed at the Vancouver Pro, and he came in second. And considering what he went through, how good he looked, I am so effing proud of Antoine, because he, you know, he is a phenomenal bodybuilder. He really is. And to go through those kind of challenges, people look up to him, because a lot of people can relate, saying, hey, I'm an addict too, or I've had injuries, and he can go through it. If he can go through it and mess up and come back. Here's the thing. Sometimes we feel that, oh, we messed up, so no one will give us, no one will care. People care if you've messed up and then you're able to come back. That's what I mean by, having a great comeback. And if Calum is able to come back from this, and I really feel if he has the right people around him and the right strategies, he can come back with a vengeance. And everyone who was laughing at him or gave, shit about all this, that's going to be his revenge. Success is a great revenge. So Calum, if you're watching this, and I hope you are, contact me, because I would love to help you laugh in those people's faces when you show how good you can be when you do come back. But it's not coming back half-assed. It's coming back for good. And that's where there's got to be some accountability there. Okay, so promo. Okay, going to a professional who is a stranger to help you with addiction is not something I could do. I did it on my own, all by myself, but yeah, not all people are equal. Promo, that's awesome. First of all, kudos. The fact that you did that on your own, I think that's amazing. So I want to applaud you. That's amazing. Not everyone can do it on their own, though. So do I say that everyone can use a professional? Probably at some point. It may be about different things. So not necessarily about addiction, but a lot of people don't have the mindset that you do as far as the addiction, being able to do it on your own. I'm not saying it was easy for you, but you had the discipline. Not everyone has the discipline to be able to do that, because there are a lot of people who are bodybuilders who have a lot of discipline. You have to have discipline to be a bodybuilder. But when it comes to other areas in their lives, such as, let's say, substances, they may not have that discipline. So good for you for being able to do that. Don't think he is very healthy doing a lot of steroids. You know what? Is he still doing steroids? I don't know if he is or not. Regardless, I want Calum to make healthier choices, period. And again, he needs a game plan and someone he can be accountable to, and likely a team he can be accountable to be able to do that. Because again, addiction is not easy. Promo, I think that's awesome that you did it on your own. I don't think Calum is one of them. Now, you can disagree with me, and I'd love to have your thoughts on this. But if there are people that think that, you know what, they have faith that Calum can do this on their own, I'm open to having this discussion. I might disagree with you, but again, it's not it's not being disrespectful. I have my opinion, and I respect other people who have different opinions than I do. I personally don't feel that Calum can do this on his own. And I'm not saying that because he doesn't have the intelligence. Has nothing to do with intelligence. I just don't think he has that mindset. And that's why I'm thinking he needs a little bit of support with some professional help, with some strategies, with a game plan, basically. That's my opinion. You guys don't have to agree with me, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree. And if you disagree, I'd like to hear what you have to say about that. Like I said, I am open to that, because like I said, addictions is a big, big piece. And we can talk about addictions literally all day and not cover everything, because there's so much about addictions. Michael. Oh, welcome, Michael, to the channel. Yeah, Antoine was awesome. It's too bad the live stream wasn't a little better, the quality. Now, Antoine, I think, there was a point in some of the poses, and let me know if, Michael, if you agree or not, but there were some poses that I thought that Antoine won. And I'm a big Ian fan, just so you know. I'm Canadian. I love Ian and I love Antoine. Actually, I train in the same gym as Antoine. So, I mean, I'm, I think those are both great bodybuilders. But, I think Antoine made Ian sweat a little bit on some of the things. Now, when I saw, let me put it this way. Ian's side shot is crazy. It's just crazy. He's building up his chest, that hamstring drop. His conditioning is really good. Antoine's conditioning is really good. But for someone, and I don't even think he was on stuff for very long because he was trying to get his health back, for him to come that diced and, you know, have the muscle that he did, you know, present, it looked good. Could he use a little bit more muscle, let's say in the upper body? Because his legs have always been big, guys. I've seen him do squats. I've seen him train legs. His legs are crazy. But Antoine is very admirable in many ways. You know why? Because he doesn't come across as someone very snooty at all. Like, he's a very humble. I don't know if you guys ever met Antoine or if you see him on his channel, but he's a very down-to-earth guy. You know, very kind. He's, you know, he gets people. He's a really cool guy. So, you know, I'm a big fan of Antoine, and obviously Ian as well. So, you know, hats off to both of them. I think they did a phenomenal job. I think with some time and some size, I could see Antoine doing really well. I'm wondering, I don't know if he's doing another show. I think because he looks as good as he does, he should do another show. And maybe he can qualify in points. I don't know. Or maybe he wins a show. But he looks damn good. Again, I don't know his schedule, but no, I hope, you know, I pray for both of those guys because, you know, one, they're Canadian, but two, but they're really solid guys. They're good bodybuilders, not just because they're Canadian, but they're good bodybuilders. They really care about their sport, and they're serious about it. They're serious about it. And I think they're great, you know, great people in general. Again, these are my thoughts. Michael, I wish they rewarded the posing execution a little more. Ian was like a robot. Yes. Okay. So, Michael, I second that on not just the bodybuilders, but every category that does posing. It would be great if it was marked. I feel that too many people don't put enough effort in the physique routines. Now, I'm not saying you have to be an expert. For me, I do women's physique. I pay someone to help me with a routine because I want to make sure, one, it looks decent. Two, the transitions and the flow look good too. And this is my way. Every time I do a physique routine, it's my way of saying thank you to the audience. And I know this is not marked, but I kind of wish it was. I agree. Because I think Antoine, and I think, what did Dave say? That I think, now correct me if I'm wrong, anyone who watched the live stream on for Iron Therapy just a little while ago today, was it a 1 point difference in prejudging? And I think Antoine, and I could be mistaken, but so correct me if I'm wrong. I think Antoine was 1 point ahead of Ian in prejudging. And then somehow, and then the finals, Ian made up for it and beat Antoine. But again, I don't know what the differential was. It by 1 point? Was it by 2 points? I'm not sure. If anyone knows, you know, feel free to post it in the chat. But it was close. Put it this way, it was close. But yes, I do agree, Michael, that the posing routine, I really wish that it was marked. My personal opinion as well. All right. Hey, Kevin, nice to see you. I'm just reading the chat here. Okay, promo. Calum wants to hang out with his friends who all do drugs probably, so he is not ready to stop. Promo, here's the thing. I have to believe there's going to be some friends that Calum has that aren't heavily into the drugs or are willing not to do drugs around Calum to be able to help support him. It's not that Calum doesn't have healthy people around him. My guess is he's maybe pushed them away because he's making these choices to be with these people that endorse him to be able to partake in these unhealthy behaviors. Because here's the thing, if you want to be bad, do you really want to be around the good people who would tell you, oh, you shouldn't be doing that? No. You're going to be around people who are like, okay, no, go for it. You know, have fun. You want someone who encourages that behavior. But promo, I don't know if you saw the on Iron Therapy, Dave posted this, and I don't know if it was Instagram or Facebook. I want to say Instagram, that Calum actually posted something this morning of him trying to, you know, looking like, and I use air quotes, normal. And he was saying, this is day one of me being clean. And I hope that continues. I really, really do. But like I said, unless there's a game plan, unless there's accountability, I'm concerned that he's not going to continue making the healthy choices. But part of that is not hanging out with people who are going to advocate for him to participate in those kind of substances when he's trying to be clean. Michael, there was a lot of very close shots. I think Antoine presented his physique better. I love, Antoine, I felt flowed really nicely. I like how he does things, and he puts a little unique spin on his presentation, which is really cool. I like that. He had the go-to poses. I laughed so hard when Antoine pointed to the calves in the last round. Yeah, that was funny. You know, he has a sense of humor, and it's so nice to see that they're having fun. This is the thing. It's so fun. It's nice to kind of root for people because you know it's serious. You know, everyone wants to win, of course. But when they're having fun up there, it's, you know, as a fan, it puts a smile on your face, and it just makes it much more enjoyable. I agree. I agree. Calum does need help with his mindset. I believe with the correct help, Calum will do really well, and he's still young. So, you know, I do believe that, Kevin, too. I still have hope for him. Despite him making these choices, I do have hope for him. And if he connects with the right people, I think he can do this. Like I said, he can come back with a vengeance, and he'd be even a bigger celebrity. Not for the sake of being a bigger celebrity, but if he wants to make his, you know, call it, I know this sounds a little corny, but a legacy. Not that he has to do anything else, because he does have already a good legacy. But if he wants to be able to further have that meaning of life and inspire people, what better inspiration than being a recovering addict? That's huge. Then he can influence other people to say, hey, I know how shitty it is. I've made shitty choices. It was all over social media. Like, he's not making this up. We all seen it. And we can see, you know, what worked for him. And he can give inspiration to other people to say, hey, if I can do it, you can do too. Will you be perfect at the get-go? No. It's not about don't make a mistake. It's how do you recover from mistakes? Because we get caught into this, what we call all or nothing thinking in counseling, where if you screw up, that means, okay, throw in the towel, you messed up, why bother? Okay, why throw in the towel? You don't have to throw in the towel. You messed up. Congrats, you admitted that. Okay, let's move on. What did you do? How do you learn from it? You don't dwell on it. You can, because here's the thing. Sometimes we look back in our past and we're like, I messed up. But then we dwell on it. And we think that the more we harp on ourselves by being negative, that was such a shitty thing I did, or I can't believe I didn't see this coming, or I made this mistake. Why did I keep doing it? Kicking yourself in the ass is not the solution, guys. But in a warped way, we think if we imprint it in our brain heavy enough and we repeat it heavy enough, often enough into our brains, and we drill what a jerk we were to ourselves, then we'll make a different decision the next time. So logically speaking, I get it, but I'm just saying it doesn't work. It doesn't work. There's other ways of being able to do that. So I'm saying you look back, what are the lessons learned? How do you bring that forward and continue going forward? Constantly dwelling on the past isn't the solution. And if you need, like I said, a professional to help you with that, someone like myself, by all means get that, because an investment in you and your well-being, there is no price for that. There really isn't, because a lot of times we carry this stuff throughout our entire lifetime. And who wants to be miserable the entire life? I know I don't, and I wouldn't want you guys to be miserable. That's why I kind of do what I do, because I want to take people out of their misery. I want to empower them. Okay, I'm just reading this. Michael, I also noticed Antoine's arms had so much more definition than Ian's. Isn't it interesting, Michael, about that? Because was it one torn bicep, or two? I want to say he tore both biceps. Now, I'm not 100%. Michael, do you know how many? Promo, exactly. Thank you. Hey, Kenneth, nice to see you. Dude, I'm still waiting for your homework. You got to submit your homework to me. Nice to see you, Kenneth. So anyone who's just joining the chat, we're talking about Calum von Moger, his recent little kind of bender. And then he also did a a post today about showing himself clean. This is day 1 of him being clean and trying to move forward with his life. And we're also talking about the Vancouver Pro, where Ian took first and Antoine was a very close second. It was basically a 2-man race. So if anyone wants to kind of chime in with their thoughts or questions, feel free to post them in the chat. Yes, he's shown both over the past few years. So here's the thing, Michael. Think about anyone who tears their biceps and they have arms that look like that. Isn't that amazing? Like, this just tells me, again, the mentality, the work ethic, because keep in mind, when you tear a bicep, you're like, shit, it's never going to look the same again. And for some people, it doesn't. But for him, you can't tell. What the pictures, at least I saw, and Michael or anyone else watching, let me know if you disagree with me. But the pictures that I saw of Antoine, it did not look like he had torn biceps at all. Like, I couldn't have told, not that they did a close shot, but from the pictures I saw, it didn't look like torn biceps. He looked damn good. So for him to be able to, recover and build and stay on point, and mentally, that does a number. Anytime you have an injury, a lot of you guys can relate. And I'm not saying about having a torn bicep, but I think a lot of us have been injured in one fashion or another. That can play mind with your mind a little bit, saying, okay, now I can't train, I'm going to lose size, and it can play tricks on you. And then you feel less than, and you're like, how am I going to be able to compete? Think of what Antoine's mindset would have had to been to get where he is, to get where he presented himself, to get that physique to look that good. He had to overcome a lot of shit. So yeah, I would love for him to be on Iron Therapy with Dave and I, so he could talk more about that and inspire you guys. Because that's the thing. Sometimes we get motivation. It's nice to have motivation within ourselves, but I think it's really important, and it's also, there's nothing wrong with having motivation from other people who've been through it. And just say, hey, if they can do it, maybe I can do it. That's what I mean by the inspiration. So let me just read this. Kenneth, yeah, I know, I've got to send it to you. I had my first. Oh, okay, how is your knee? You had your first knee replacement. So once I get on my feet, I'll get to, yeah, Kenneth, no worries. I'm giving you a bit of a hard time. I'm trying to keep you accountable, but I didn't know you had your knee replacement, so no worries. Michael, I think Antoine's conditioning was better. His separation from to brachialis to bi was unreal. So I didn't get enough of the details to see that, but that's cool. Hey, more snitches, welcome. What was the reason of his trying to suicide in the first place? Depression or drugs? For Calum, when you were saying the suicide, were you talking about him jumping out the window? Because if that was the case, my understanding, and again, this is from watching Nick Trigili's Bodybuilding and BS, the stuff that he's reported on, is that when Calum went out the window, and this is based on the most recent, I think it was posted yesterday, I think, Nick's thing on Calum. I think it was yesterday, in that when Calum jumped out of the window, it was because he was afraid because people were chasing him. Because keep in mind, when people try to get drugs, they sell stuff, in order for you to get payment, or they owe money and he wasn't able to pay the money back and they were chasing him, or there was some stuff around that. So I don't know, my understanding, and again, maybe I'm misunderstanding, so correct me, anyone who saw Nick Trigili's video clip. I only watched it really quickly yesterday. But my understanding is that, and then obviously potentially the influence of him being under the influence of some type of substance or substances may have impacted that. But my impression wasn't that he jumped out of the window to try to kill himself. It was try to escape or hide or run from somebody. That was my understanding. If you guys understood something differently, please let me know. So if there was something else that you meant, please let me know. More cinches, if you meant, was there something else that you meant about the suicide? You're in constant burning pain. Kenneth, my heart goes out to you. I go back to the doctor on Friday. I assume whatever they're giving you for meds, for your knee replacement is not kicking in. Knee replacement is such a bitch too. I'm sorry you're going through that, Kenneth. I really hope your doctor can give you something. Constant burning pain also means, like, we're talking 24/7. That means you can't sleep. That means you can't get in the right position, whether you're sitting in a chair, whether you're trying to lie down. That's miserable. Again, my heart goes out to you, but I hope your doctor can figure something out, because that's not good. Michael, Antoine said this was the first prep he did for himself. He said they were monitoring his health super close the whole time. Good. I think that made a big difference in his progress. That's a good point. It's interesting when you said, he did this for himself. When we do things internally from our own to say, I want to do this, that's an incredible motivation, because not to say we can't be motivated by other people. Like I said, we can be inspired by other people, but then it presents a pressure because we don't want to let people down. Because he kind of went in under the radar, so there were people that didn't even know he was competing at the Vancouver Pro. So there was no expectation. So when you don't have expectations on you, then it almost becomes, I'm not saying it was an easy prep for Antoine, but it becomes easier because you don't have this on you. We've all seen bodybuilders, I'm not going to name them, who, they were talked up on social media. We expected a lot from them. They competed and they didn't place as well. And it's not because they didn't try. It's not because, maybe something went wrong in their carb up or something, kind of last minute. It's not that they were fat, but maybe they had to film, so they didn't place as well. But they were disappointed in their placings. So when you have a lot of, pressure on you, it makes the day-to-day stuff a little bit harder. Now, you can use that as fuel, but sometimes people buckle under the pressure. That's why I work with a lot of athletes, including bodybuilders, to help them with that, because sometimes we care a little bit too much what other people think, and we can't really focus on doing this for ourselves. And I think, that's great that you brought up that, Michael, as far as Antoine doing this for himself. Okay, so more since just like driving under the influence. Okay. Now, driving under the influence, does that necessarily mean that, and I'm not sure if that's, so more snitches, I want to get clarification because I want to make sure I'm answering your point. When you're saying about the suicide part, I didn't get the impression, if I'm understanding this correctly though, that Calum, driving under the influence, was trying to kill himself. Driving under the influence obviously is not a good thing. It's illegal. But do I think that was intentional? I think it's more of that I don't care. It's the I'm having fun. Like, it's not even registering. Like, there's no logic there. It's just being in the moment. And I'm all for having fun, but not that kind of fun, because you're putting yourself and other people in harm's way, at risk. And that's not good. But if that's what you meant, I don't think necessarily people who drive under the influence are trying to do it to kill themselves per se. It could end up that they kill themselves for sure, but I don't know if that was necessarily his intention. I think it was more of the driving, getting away with things, still living. I mean, the fact that he jumped out of the window and I don't know if you guys saw the pictures of all the cuts and everything that he had, the bruising and everything. The fact that he survived that, and he was even in a medically induced coma. The fact that he survived that is a bit of a miracle. That's why I'm saying the comeback story for him, if he's able to get his shit together with the right people, with the right strategies, would be amazing. Would be actually amazing. Yep, all that. Thank you. Okay. Kenneth, honestly, I'm saying prayers for you right now. Do anti-inflammatory gets work for golfer's elbow? Promo, I'm not a doctor, but check the doctor. Golfer's elbow. Now, here's the thing. Have you, just out of curiosity, I had a lot of tendonitis in my forearms and tennis elbow. I saw a really good physio and osteo who did some work. I forget what it's called, but it's a specific kind of release. What a game changer that was. do you have a physio or an osteo that you can go to? I'm not saying anti-inflammatories are a bad thing, but here's the thing. Even if you take an anti-inflammatory, it's not going to really deal with the actual core issue. It's almost like a Band-Aid. It's going to provide some temporary support, but I would want you to kind of get to the root of all that kind of tension. And that's why that release, and I forget the name of it. If you want it, let me know, and I'll send you a message, or message me on Instagram. So my handle is, or actually send a reply. Either send me an Instagram DM if you want the name of the release, and I can message it to you, or post it and reply to this chat after it gets posted, and I'll reply to that, and I'll look it up, and I'll post it there. So my Instagram is just Lesley T_mental_iron, or like I said, just kind of once this live is done, it gets posted to YouTube, and just put a message on there, say, hey, Lesley, what's that name of the release that you were talking about in the chat? Okay. But that was a game changer for me. Now I'm thinking golfer's elbow would be somewhat similar, and a release might be helpful, because that has honestly been a game changer, because they did that release for my knees. I've had issues with my knees, and every time I do cardio, it exacerbates it. They did this release. And by the way, the release is not fun, but what a difference. What a difference. Now I'm back to doing my 1 hour of fasted cardio. Now, I say that with a smile because I don't like cardio, but I'm smiling because I'm glad I can do it, because I'm in prep right now and I need to do cardio. Gels never worked for me, only shots and pills. Okay. Like I said, seeing the right physio and osteopath for me, you guys can try your own, really helped. It really made a difference. First you do drugs and alcohol, and then you do, for sure you can. Because when we're under the influence, it doesn't matter what the influence is. When you're under the influence, you're not thinking clearly. When you're not thinking clearly, you're just doing stuff to have fun. You don't think about the consequences. You don't think, oh, this might endanger my life. You're just, you're in a haze. You're just having fun, and you think it's innocent fun. It's not. But your judgment, here's the thing, the judgment's been effective. So you can't see. Think of it like if you have, a curtain, but it's clear. Okay, you can see past the curtain. But let's say it's an opaque curtain. Well, then it becomes blurry, and you can't see quite clearly. And that's the thing with when you have a substance, you can't see clearly. You can't make clear judgments. So yeah, you can do some unhealthy things for sure. I agree. Celebrix. Oh, is that what you're doing? What's Celebrix, Kenneth? Promo. Okay, thanks. Cool. A lot of tension, forearms, elbow, tendonitis. Tendonitis sucks, doesn't it? I had so many issues with my forearms and my elbows, but like I said, that release, like I said, send me a message, and I'll put it down in the chat, or send me a DM. Made such a difference. And I only discovered that recently, because when I did physio, I've done the cupping. I've done, what's it called? Shockwave. Have you guys ever heard of shockwave? It reminds me of a jackhammer because it sounds like that. And it helps circulation. But, honestly, that release trumps everything. Trumps everything I've ever tried. Promo, I train too much and always go all out. I'm getting old. Promo, how old are you? If you don't mind answering the question. Anti-inflammatory. Oh, okay. Celebrix is an anti-inflammatory prescription only. Kenneth, did you find that helped? Did you ever try the Celebrix? I'm just curious. Did that help your tension? 38. Promo, just so you know, I'm 54. Okay. So today I did a 3-hour leg workout. Now, just to put this in perspective, because I know 3 hours sounds like a long time, that includes 10 minutes of warming up. That includes any kind of physio I do, my stretches, my rumble rolling at the end, all my warm-up sets. That includes everything. But in the gym, from the time I start to the time I finish, it's 3 hours. I do that every friggin' Monday. So needless to say, tomorrow I'm not going to be walking really well, and the day after is going to be even worse. And I don't like stairs. Stairs hurt right now, but that's okay. So I know what it's like to push yourself. So might need some ice packs actually later, and Voltaren actually might be a good thing too. So I'm 50. Kenneth, yes, cool. Kenneth, 3, yes. Leg day, I have 2 leg days, by the way, Kenneth. So when's my next leg day? I think it's I think it's 3 days. Hold on, let's see. It's gonna be Thursday or Friday. I do legs again. It's a different leg workout, but yeah, it's 3 hours. And again, that includes everything. That includes all my warm-up sets, the physio exercises I do to stretch my quads beforehand, my glute stretches. I'll do like the pigeon stretch. I'll do the soleus by doing pedals. Like I do a lot of stuff to get myself warmed up to do legs. So that includes everything, but it is 3 hours. Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. So if a 54, and okay, so let me be clear about this. I'm not suggesting you guys do 3-hour workouts. It's because I'm getting ready for a show. And one of the body parts I really have to bring up in my division, and the feedback I've gotten from judges, is I need to build my quads and my hammies. So that's why I'm hitting them so bloody hard, because they really take a lot for me to grow. I know some girls have no problem growing their quads and their hamstrings, and that's awesome. For me, that's one of my weak points. So that's something I can really hit strong. So I try my best. Don't always walk well afterwards. I'm usually limping, but that's okay. That's okay. It's not injury. It's just really, it's a lot of muscle soreness. Promo, you're laughing at me. Yeah, I laugh at myself too. Like if I stood up right now, I don't know, I'll be hobbling. I'll tell you right now, because I'm sitting down. I'm not using my legs right now. It's actually good. Wow, per week. Yeah, two 3-hour sessions of legs per week. Yes, it's lovely. Yep. Because I step on stage in just under 11 weeks, my first show, and then I get ready for the Amateur Olympia, and I'm going to be hitting that stage hard too. That's cray. Yeah, Kenneth, you have to be a little crazy to be a bodybuilder. Have you ever heard that expression? And again, to be a bodybuilder, you don't have to compete. There's a lot of bodybuilders I know in my gym, never competed, never want to compete, but they're bodybuilders. They live the bodybuilding lifestyle. So they train on a regular basis, and they eat, they eat like every 3 hours. They get their liquids in, they might have their cheat meals like every, once or twice a week. They live the bodybuilding lifestyle. So you're a bodybuilder. If you live the bodybuilding lifestyle, you don't have to compete to be a bodybuilder. But yeah, if I'm not competing, I won't do a 3-hour. I might train legs. I'm not going to lie. I will probably continue training legs twice a week. I like to do for me personally, again, I tend to do my 2 leg workouts are different. So there'll be a day where I do is a more what we call quad dominant day. So I'll do more quads and some hamstrings, and then the other one will be more hamstrings and some quads. So that's how I do my leg day. But when I do retire one day from competing, I'll still do 2 leg days, but they won't be 3 hours. I'll probably cut it in half, actually. All right. Yeah, I am a little crazy. Yes. I do 1 hour all out almost every day. Promo, that's healthier. I'll tell you right now, doing 1 hour is definitely healthier. Anywhere between, I would say for legs, maybe 70 minutes. Promo, out of curiosity, do you do legs once a week or twice a week? Just curious. Okay, Kenneth, awesome. Thanks for joining me in the chat, Kenneth. Thanks for dropping by, and I look forward to your text. Take care. Lee, welcome, Lee. Welcome to my channel. Dave would probably tell you to cut back for growth. You know what, Lee? Yes. We could do a little mental iron rage right now. Now, keep in mind, Dave has good points. I like Dave. But Dave is also genetically gifted. I'm not genetically gifted. And also for females, it's a little different because we have something called estrogen. And estrogen really plays a number on our bodies for storing fat. And, I don't know if age has something to do with it. But would he say cut back? I know he's said, and I've watched a lot of Dave's stuff. He'll say in order to grow muscle, you don't always have to train it more. In fact, you can actually train it less. I think it depends on the person. I don't know if that's necessarily a fair statement to say to everybody. I do agree that for some people that can work because they might be overtraining the muscle, and that's why it's not growing. So I understand that logic. So, fair point, Lee. But for me, when I tried to train, I worked with a number of coaches, and when we tried to do legs once a week, it wasn't enough for me. When we did twice a week, my legs started growing. So I'm just saying from personal experience, I'm like, again, this is just me. I'm not saying for everybody. And for my legs, I need to hit them twice a week for me. And as far as do I have to hit them as long as I do, I think if Dave knew that I train legs twice a week for 3 hours at a session, I can tell you right now, he'd be shaking his head. In fact, I think a lot of people would. And again, when I say 3 hours, that includes everything. Warm-up sets, stretching, rumble rolling. I don't know if you guys know what a rumble roller, but I hit my T-bands, I hit my hamstrings, I hit my calves, I hit my quads. I probably spend an hour alone on physio and stretching and warm-up exercises. So really, my leg workout is about 2 hours, if you want to be a bit more specific. And I'm not training like Jay Cutler or where I think Jay does like 45 seconds in between sets, I believe. And then Branch Warren, I don't know. I don't even know if he does 20 seconds. I think what happens when Branch trains, if he trains with somebody, he goes like he'll do his set, the person will do their set, and then he jumps right on. So I don't even have a certain number of seconds, but he's ready to go. Like he's a machine. He's a machine. Now, again, these people are genetic freaks. I'll tell you right now, I'm the normal person in the respect of I would love to be a genetic freak. I'm so envious of genetic freaks. I wish I was a genetic freak. I'm a genetic freak wannabe, but I'm not. I'm a regular person with regular genetics. So I have to push myself harder and in a different way. And because I'm also older, I'm 54, my recovery is a little bit longer. So when you don't have genetics and you're older, you have to train a little differently in the respect of recovery. So that's why I do a little bit longer. I'll be anywhere between 90 seconds to maybe, and especially during leg day, it might be 2 minutes in between my sets. Because, I'm also going slow eccentrics. Like if I'm doing when I did leg presses today, as an example, what I'll do is I don't bring it back. It's like 1, 2, hold it, pause, and then push up. 1, 2, and it might be me 3 seconds eccentrics, but I do pause. And that makes a big difference, guys, when you pause versus going back and forth with the weights. Because I find sometimes people are using momentum. I find that if I'm doing heavier weights and I just bang them out, I'm using a bit too much momentum and I'm not focusing on the muscle. And maybe that's just me and other people have a better mind-muscle connection. I find dropping the weights, slowing down the eccentrics, add pauses at the bottom, really help me. And again, I'm not saying everyone do this. I'm just saying what works for me. That helps me build muscle and try not to get injured at the same time. How often do you train each muscle group? I train, okay, so more snitches. Legs, I do twice. Shoulders, I do twice. What else do I do twice? Back, I do twice. The reason why I do those body parts twice is because that's the feedback I've gotten from judges of the areas I need to build on. My legs are the worst. I definitely have to work on shoulders, and you can never have a back that's too big, really. I'm in women's physique, so my back is not bad for someone my size, but you can always use a bigger back. But if I had to only take 2 body parts I could train twice, it would be my legs and my shoulders, because I never had, again, I don't have the genetics, so everything I have to really build on. So for me to build that, and especially in women's physique, you need good legs. And then also with the shoulders to help me get that cap. I've never had a cap. Well, I shouldn't say never. It's hard for me to get a cap. It takes a lot of work. So I need to really work on my shoulders, which is why I hit them twice. And also when you have nice cap shoulders, it helps you get that V taper. And so from a judging standpoint, especially like when you do the back pose, that looks really nice to have the V taper. So when you have nice shoulders, it gives that angle, that really nice angle. So that's why I hit it twice, because I'm hitting my weaker body parts twice. I hope that answered your question. If I'm not answering your question, guys, just feel free to put it in the chat. Say, actually, I meant this. Twice. Yeah, okay, I need high volume, high frequency. Do you know, I have a promo. Do you know who one of my coaches, I'm using a different coach right now because I'm doing a regional show, so I'm using a regional coach. The coach, when I did the Amateur Olympia last year, I worked with Neil Hill. Now, if you know Neil Hill, you may recognize the name because he, he's trained a lot of athletes. One of them was 7-time 212 champion Flex Lewis. Neil Hill has an amazing workout program called Y3T. This is a great program where it's a 3-week program. So week 1, you do workouts a particular way, certain number of sets, reps, and the same thing with week 2. It's a little bit different compared to week 1. Week 3 is brutal. I'll tell you right now, you're probably like me, a little sick because you'd like week 3 because it's so hard. We're talking anywhere between 20 and 35, actually 20 to I think 40 reps, and you're trying to go heavy. And you do drop sets. This is not fun, but I'm so glad when it's over. But I remember the first time I did it, I'm like, I want to do week 3 twice in a row. In fact, I asked Neil, because I was working with Neil. Neil's my coach. Can I do week 3 twice in a row? He's like, if you want. But I didn't do it twice in a row too many times because there's that effect where your body starts to shake, and you can only handle so much. But again, I don't want to get injured. I don't want anyone to get injured. But if you like the high volume, high frequency, if you want to change, look at Neil Hill's Y3T program. Let's see. Dave Thomas, welcome to my channel. What goals have you set yourself with your bodybuilding comps? Okay. So Dave, right now, my goals is based on the judges' feedback that I've gotten from my previous shows, which is building up my quads, my hams, my shoulders, and I got to work on my waistline. So I've been practicing vacuums. Let me tell you, vacuums. And I'm not talking about the vacuum of vacuuming the house. I'm talking about stomach vacuums. Chris Bumstead, another fellow Canadian that I have a lot of respect for. Have you seen him? When he does his vacuum and he turns to the side, it's like he disappears. Like, I don't know what happens. I try to do a vacuum. It doesn't look like it disappears. And then the first time I did a vacuum, okay, I'm telling you the truth. It lasted maybe 2 seconds, if that, because I cramped up. The first time I tried to cramp, because remember, you got to get your stomach so far in. It's not just holding your stomach in. It's really pulling it in. Like you're filling your belly button to the back of your spine. I cramped so friggin' hard, I couldn't do it. Like, I didn't even make it to 2 seconds. And I had to wait before I had to try it again. And then I cramped up again. I'm like, screw this. So I waited till the next day. And then I slowly built up to it. It takes time, but I've been doing vacuums every day. I make 3 to 4 attempts every day, and it gets a little bit longer, or I try to hold the stomach in a little bit tighter. It takes time, but frig, those are hard. So I am working on that because with, obviously, you want stomach control, especially on stage, but again, it makes the poses look really good too. It's not just saying I'm going to hit a vacuum on stage. Well, who knows? Maybe I'll throw it into my routine. But, it's, quads, hammies, shoulders, and working on my stomach control. That's been my feedback from the judges. So those are my goals. And obviously building size, because I am in women's physique. I have to try to bring the size that I can. Now it takes time. Like I said, I'm not genetically gifted. So every pound of muscle I work for, I really have to work for. Some people put on muscle really easily. I'm not one of them, but I try my best. At 54, I try my best. So those are my goals, is to build over, get the size. And I also like to bring in my conditioning. The conditioning I brought at when I did the amateur Arnold's back in 2020. That was the first show that almost got canceled because of COVID. I remember before leaving, because I live in Canada. So before I went to Ohio, I was like, they might cancel the show. Do I really want to drive all the way to Ohio only for it to be canceled? Because they were talking that they thought it was going to be canceled. I'm like, I didn't just prep all this time. So I'm like, screw it. Because if they didn't have the show, okay. But if they did have the show and I didn't go because I thought, that would just eat me alive. So I was like, okay, gonna drive, go. And I did. And I placed third. And the conditioning I had at that show, I'm having a hard time duplicating it, but I'm hoping I can duplicate it at my regional show in just under 11 weeks. And then I can even bring a better package for December 13th when I do the Amateur Olympia. So every prep is a little different. And, it's a little tricky to kind of nail the conditioning and the size. Because the last year when I did the Amateur Olympia, and I worked with Neil Hill, he got me, we did a bunch of mock preps and I was getting fuller and fuller. And I remember I was looking at the best I ever have. And then, of course, like many other stories, the night before we decided to carb up just a little bit more to bring a little bit more fullness to the package, and I spilled over. So, but that's how you learn. You got to try it until you learn. So, but I still had a good time. I love talking to the girls backstage. So, that's fun. But those are my goals. Now, I'd love to hear your goals. Like if you guys feel safe enough to post in the chat what your goals are, I'd love to hear that. Spoiler Man, welcome. Oh, and Spoiler Man, thank you for joining my chat, by the way. I really appreciate it, and for your comment the other day on the other post. I appreciate that. Promo, I'm lucky with great genetics, but never use steroids, but most people think I am. That's always funny. Promo, that's a great compliment. That's an awesome compliment. See, if someone thinks you're doing steroids and you're not, well, first of all, it's nice to give people the benefit of the doubt because there are people who are genetically gifted. Like I said, I think that's awesome. I wish I had that. There's a guy at my gym that he might be doing the Amateur Olympia as well. He's in physique, and he always tells me about the hard time because he has a hard time putting on weight. He can eat tons and tons of carbs, and he just burns through it. He just has that kind of metabolism. He's got these veins, he's got these striations in his legs. And I'm like, and my coach keeps taking away carbs and increases my cardio for a good reason. So this guy will say, you never believe how much carbs I'm eating. I'm like, hush, talk to the hand. I'm not eating carbs. Don't want to hear it. And then he tells me anyway, because it's a little joke we have back and forth that we wish we could change genetics because I have an easy time putting on weight, but not necessarily the good weight. And he has a hard time putting on the lean muscle mass because he can't eat enough carbs to fill himself up. So I actually hooked him up with Neil so he can actually learn how to do that properly. It's great that you have great genetics, Promo. That's awesome. Spoiler Man, as we get older, it does take longer to recover after the workout. Spoiler Man, that is so true. And that's why I personally, and I'm not saying this is for everybody, that's why I tend to take 90 to 120 second breaks between sets, generally speaking, because it takes me longer to recover and I don't want to hurt myself. Legs twice a week, every other body part 1.5 times per week. Okay, cool. Now, Spoiler Man, when you do legs, I'm not sure what time you join the chat. How long is your leg workout? When you do twice a week, and by the way, your legs twice a week, what I was saying when I did legs twice a week, I would have a quad dominant day one day and the other day would be hamstring. But do you divide yours up differently? I'm just curious. And how long are your leg workouts? When will you compete again? October 1st. I do a regional show October 1st, and then December 13th, I do the Amateur Olympia. That's the goal. And Spoiler Man, are you competing? And promo, are you going to compete? I'm really curious. With great genetics, are you going to compete? And Lee, if you're still watching, do you compete or have you ever competed? I always like talking to people who've competed, or even if you haven't competed. And so here's the thing, guys, you don't have to compete. I talk to people all the time in the gym that have no desire to compete whatsoever, but they just like to train. So that's cool. I think that's cool. Yoda 3T, yes. Yeah, Yoda, good old Yoda. I will have a look. Thank you. No problem. And I think, Promo, I don't know if you're in this position. I think Neil is still taking new clients on, I do believe. And he sees he doesn't just work with competitors. He works with regular people who just want to get in shape. He's worked with actresses and actors. He's worked with business people. So you don't have to be a bodybuilder, just so you know. But Yoda, yeah, he's cool. Michael, vacuums suck. Yeah. Yes. I like your pun, Michael. That's cool. Michael, have you ever done a vacuum? And by the way, has anyone else done vacuums and they actually cramped up, or is it just me? Because I swear to God, the first time I did the vacuum and I cramped up, that was a horrible cramp. I'm like, crap, how does Chris Bumstead do this? And he can hold it. What is it? Over 2 minutes, at least. He can do it for a long time. I still can't get to, past maybe 30 seconds right now. And that's a quick 30 seconds. But I don't know. How are you guys at vacuums? Are you guys good at vacuums? Anyone who has practiced vacuums? Promo, no, haha, I'm just an amateur, just being big and strong with not too much fat. That's cool. There's nothing wrong. Hey, I'm an amateur too. There's nothing wrong with that. And whether, you compete or not, Promo, I like the fact that you're in that bodybuilding lifestyle. I think that's really cool. I can make 2 kilos of fat from one chocolate candy. More snitches. Hello to the chocoholic. Are you a chocoholic? Because chocoholics. Okay, let's talk, guys. I'll eat on plan, but I can talk about food. Anyone who's ever done a bodybuilding show knows, for people like me, we talk about food a lot. We talk about the food that we're going to eat after our show. In fact, I'll even print off or save recipes that I've seen online or people post on Instagram. I'm like, hey, that looks good. And I'm like, I'm going to make that after the show. Or I'll order that after the show. And what happens? When it comes close to the show, I have not made any of the recipes. However, my daughter makes a wicked carrot cake. So I do, and she makes these little donuts. I'm not usually a donut fan, but these are cinnamon, and I like cinnamon. She makes these cinnamon donuts. They're really cool. I'm going to probably ask her to make the carrot cake and the cinnamon little mini donuts for after my October 1st show. That would be really cool. But as far as chocolate, okay, so more snitches. When you're saying, so can you sniff a chocolate bar and gain weight? Just curious. Because I will actually sniff chocolate but not eat it. Yes, I'm kind of weird that way. Michael, I haven't been practicing them lately, but I can do vacuums. Try to hold so long as I can. 3 times in a row is what I was doing. Michael, when you were doing vacuums, how long were you able to hold it for? More snitches. I'm carb responsive. Yes. Yep. What carbs? So more snitches, do you have healthy carbs in your diet right now? So whether it be rice or potatoes, that kind of thing. Do you have any of those in your diet? Promo, bodybuilding and powerlifting is a great lifestyle. Yeah. Hats off to powerlifters. I would be worried about hurting myself. I did, what's it called? Not powerlifting. What's it called? If anyone can read my mind, it's not powerlifting. They do jerks and cleans. They'll do WODs, workout of the day. CrossFit. Hello, CrossFit. I did CrossFit. I tried CrossFit for a few weeks. I loved it, but I could see myself getting hurt the way we were doing things. And that's me. I'm not saying this is a reflection of CrossFit. It's just and the particular gym I went to for CrossFit, they were known for training heavy. And the people there were so nice, so nice. And I kind of wanted to stay, but I could see an accident waiting to happen because I knew I can get really competitive. I didn't realize how competitive I could be. But then when that clock starts going and they're timing you, and there's also someone beside you or other people beside you, there's something that comes out of me that doesn't come out of me anywhere, anytime else. And it's just, I don't need hit the floor to the metal. Like, it's just pedal to the metal. It's a switch. I don't know if you guys go through this, but normally, I can be laid back. But then when I get into this competitive spirit, it's like this different person comes out of me. I don't know. It's weird. Or, I can be really, really smiley, but when I'm training, I'm not smiley. I'm very kind of serious. Sometimes I feel like death because, I'm on low carbs trying to push through things, especially a 3-hour leg workout. But I get through it. Ditto on the carb responsive. Yeah, right now, carbs only around training. Yeah, Milos start. Oh, Milos. Yeah. Okay. I just saw Milos. Hey, Michael, did you see the interview Milos did on Flex Lewis's channel? I was watching a little bit before Dave and I went live with Iron Therapy. I didn't get through it all, but if you get a chance, go to Flex Lewis's YouTube. I think it's Straight Out of the Lair, and he interviews Milos, and Milos talks about a lot, actually, about some background information I didn't know about, so it's pretty cool. Michael, probably 10 seconds or so. Okay, 10 seconds is cool. 10 seconds is cool. Lee, I'm 47, never competed, worked out since I was 12. Wow, I've let myself go these past 3 years. Okay. So Lee, I'm 54. It's never too late. And I'm not saying you have to compete. If you don't want to compete, there's nothing wrong with that. But just because you let yourself go for the past 3 years. And then Lee, here's the thing. There's something called COVID that happened the past 2 years. So if you lived in Australia or Canada, especially, those two places, things only started lightening up not that long ago. So it would be understandable why, because there wasn't a lot of options to be able to train properly anyway, because not everyone had access to gym equipment, because when you ordered gym equipment, it took forever to come in because everything was backlogged because, the gyms were closed for so long. But here's the thing. Instead of focusing on letting yourself go, just say, okay, when do I want to mentally set a date in mind when I want to start getting back on track? And again, Lee, I'm not saying to necessarily compete, but what about getting back on track as far as getting to a healthier, whether it be body fat percentage or you want to fit in particular clothing, whatever that might look like, and devise a plan of what you're going to do towards getting there. There's no rush. But what you can do in order to do that. So, instead of focusing on, well, I did this and that's why I am where I am. Okay. Well, if you want to change that, let's talk about that. Let's see what can be put into place so that can be changed. And change takes time. Ask any bodybuilder in prep, like myself, to saying the changes for me to get lean, it takes a long time. For me, it does. Some women can just lose it like this. Not me. I take a long time, so that's why I do longer preps. That's why I was laughing when Dave was saying earlier on Iron Therapy about a 16-week, I don't know if he said 12 or 16-week prep. And I'm like, that's it? I'm usually close to the 20 to 24. This particular prep, I did 21 because I was doing, and I didn't need a 21-week prep. It's just that I was working with a new coach. And this new coach doesn't know my body, so that's why I wanted to do a longer prep time, so they can make whatever adjustments, and we can do some mock preps before the show. So that's just mine. But in the past, I've definitely done anywhere between. Actually, my average was 24. It was 24 weeks because my body takes a long time to come in, and I do things slowly. I don't rush anything. In the Zone promo. In the Zone. Okay. In the Zone. That reminds me of a diet that I used to do, is In the Zone. But Promo, what was your reference? When you said in the zone, what was that an answer to? Perhaps you were answering a question I mentioned and I forgot what it was. So if you can let me know when you said in the zone, what you meant by that. More snitches. Sweet coffee in the morning. Okay. Rice and mashed potato. Yeah. As a sugar during a day. Chicken, eggs, turkey, and fish as a protein, and some veggie. That sounds good. More snitches. That sounds good. Now, out of curiosity, when you say sweet coffee, what do you sweeten your coffee with in the morning? Michael, yep, I watched it right away. Well, okay, cool. Love Milos. The Lair podcast is yeah, I love it. There was, he's had some good guests on. And did you see the episode, Michael, with, was it last week? When Flex was talking about, raising pigeons. I never knew about the pigeon thing. Next time I see Flex, I'm gonna be going to Vegas to finish my Olympia prep, probably in November. I'm gonna say, hey, Pigeon King. I never knew. I didn't know the difference between pigeons. I didn't know. I thought they were all the same. I didn't know that some were better than others. So I learned something. I had no idea he was such a connoisseur of pigeons. That's so cool. Promo. Oh, COVID got me. All the gyms were closed. Didn't that suck? Now I wish I had the channel going when COVID was going on, because this is also when people needed support, to be able to say, okay, what do we do? The gyms are closed. What can we do? Because mentally, yes, it's good to keep healthy. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but a lot of times people also go to the gym for a stress relief, and also maybe to get out of the house. Now, if you can't get out of the house, and let's say you're restricted because we were, I call it house arrest. We weren't technically on house arrest, but we felt like it because of all the restrictions with COVID. What could have been done as far as, giving some, some kind of support, whether it be kind of group chats, whether it be group kind of workouts, something to kind of give people some type of incentive and sense of community. Because this is the other thing. There's a social aspect. When I go at the gym, I don't go to the gym to chat with everybody. Now, do I chat with people in between, like let's say before my workout, after my workout, if I'm doing boring cardio, maybe after a set? Yes. But I try to keep it at a minimum, especially because I'm in prep. And everyone who knows me knows if I'm in prep, and they're very respectful, which is really nice. So the chat is kept to a minimum. But, as far as that sense of community, it's nice to be around people who kind of get it. And I don't mean they have to be competitors, but understand working out. Because I love my mother, but my mother thinks I work out too much. Well, okay, some other people might think I work out too much because I do 3 hours on legs, but it's bodybuilding is healthy and it's not healthy. It's healthy in the respect of you're training on a regular basis, you're watching what you're eating, you're trying to eat at regular intervals, that kind of thing. When it comes to the competing aspect, now some people, whether it's dropping water, now some people use diuretics. If you can get away with not doing diuretics, if you are able to prep early enough and able to stick on plan, you can probably get away with not doing a diuretic, because diuretics are not safe and you never know what the effect is going to be. So even if you're holding water, this is why people use diuretics. If they're holding water, it looks like they're fat, but they're not fat. They're just holding water. So it's that layer of film, which gives you that smooth look versus those cuts, those lines that shows separation in your muscle. People take diuretics to get rid of the water. So I understand the concept, but the problem is sometimes when it pulls the water, it also makes your muscles look flatter. And so it's a tricky thing when you use diuretics. They're unpredictable sometimes. So if you can do a prep without diuretics, that's ideal. In the ideal world, if you have enough time. And depends on how your body responds. Now, if you're going through a lot of stress in your life, you could do all the quote unquote right things in your prep. But let's say, if you had something that happened, let's say you have a family member who's really sick, or, something else is going on in your life, break up in a relationship. Any kind of stress like that will raise something called cortisol. It's a stress hormone in our bodies. So even if you're doing all the right things, when your cortisol levels are higher, your ability to respond, whether it's building muscle, whether it's burning fat, reduces substantially when you have that cortisol up. So the idea is not to say you're going to be stress-free, but we're trying to reduce the stress. And a lot of times, especially with COVID, who wasn't going through stress in some form or another, whether it's I don't want to get COVID, I hope I don't give anyone COVID, it's the gym shutting down, I haven't been social with anyone except for my immediate, whoever's in my household. So this is the thing. Initially, people kind of liked COVID because they could work from home and be with their families. But that wore off because it's nice to kind of get away from your family sometimes. I'm not saying you don't love your family, but it's nice to have the space, a different environment. So yeah, COVID hit a lot of people, and I really wish I had my channel going to talk to people, especially during COVID. But yeah, that was I agree, guys, COVID was, and they're talking about in Canada, I don't know if they're talking about this elsewhere. In Canada, they're talking about a 4th shot. Can you believe this? Having a 4th shot. We already had the 3rd shot. Now we're having a 4th shot coming up. Ridiculous, I tell you. That's why I want to move to the States. I tell you, Canada's a little crazy. Okay. Lee, yeah, you're welcome, Lee. Promo, when you said you were training and not laughing. Oh, okay, in the zone. Yes, true. Yeah, when I'm serious, I'm in a zone, for sure. I'm actually imagining that I'm a warrior about to go to war, especially when when I hit the pendulum squat machine today, I was looking at it and staring it down like I was, initially it was a little bit of fear because my legs were, okay, so my warm-up circuit is 3 exercises and I do 5 rounds. One of them is lunges. So did I start with the 20s or the 22.5s? So I had I think it was 20 or 22.5 pound dumbbells in each hand, and I would do 15 lunges per leg. Second round, I think it was 25. Third round, 35. Fourth round, 40. And the last round was such a bitch at 45 pounds a hand, or maybe it was 40. I can't remember. It was either 40 or 45. I'd have to look at my book. Hold on. I'll tell you right now. I have my little workout book. When I did lunges, it was 45. I did 45 freaking pounds each hand, and I did shaky, and put down the word shaky, 12 reps every leg. And again, 5 friggin' rounds. That was not fun. So my legs were feeling it quite a bit. And I was doing 2 other exercises before that. And then I did the pendulum squat. So I stared down the pendulum squat. So part of it's fear. It's like this little monster because I know it's going to hurt. And 2, it's like, I don't care, bitch. I'm going to take you over. So yeah, I get serious sometimes when I get in that zone, in a warrior zone mindset, actually, when I do that. Thanks for clarifying that for me, Lee. Appreciate that. Okay, Michael, yes, the pigeon and bird stories are amazing. Yes. Flex is such an interesting guy. Because when I was in Vegas for 6 months, I trained exclusively at the Dragon Slayer. I love it there. I just love it there. I'm also known as the Canadian Dragon. So the Canadian Dragon, the Welsh Dragon, we get along well together. Okay. Regular white sugar and add a milk too. Okay, you have the sugar. Okay, that's okay. That sounds like your only vice. Morrison, it's just, you gotta have life too. So I can appreciate if you want some, a little bit of sugar in your coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker myself, but I think that's cool. That's cool. Because everything else that you were eating is bang on point. I think that's awesome. Dave Thomas, all I can say, Lesley, is don't bother a bodybuilder that is dieting for a show in the gym. My trick when dieting was never make eye contact with people and hoodie up. All right, Dave, so maybe I need a hoodie. But yeah, because I'm in prep right now. But you know what? I'm not one of those people who get angry. I'm really, really lucky. I don't get angry. Unless someone takes my food that I've already prepped and measured and put in a container, which there would be no reason for that. I don't get angry. I get tired. And what happens, and this is kind of signature for me, for every show I've done to date, and I've prepped for 17 shows, and 2 were canceled because of COVID the day before, but I prepped for 17 shows. Every single one of those shows, before I made it to the athlete meeting, I somehow hurt myself in the gym leading up to the show because I walk into equipment. I am so tired. So tired. When I go from one end of the gym to the other, I somehow bang, whether it's my elbow, my knee, I somehow run into a piece of equipment. If I do the cables, somehow I cut my fingers. Like, it's just, I always have some type of little injury, and I hope the tan like covers it up. And I remember on my knees, you can always just see a darker spot. I'm not going to lose points for it, but I mean, it was just kind of like, it'd be really nice to go through a prep and not hurt myself, like at least externally. So, you know, it's just, you know, it'd be nice not to bump into a piece of equipment when I'm, so I just get tired. And what I do a lot in prep when I get closer to the shows, usually around 3 weeks, is my mind, I don't know where it goes, but I'll be walking around going, where are my glasses? And they're either on my face or they're in my hands, you know, or, you know, or I'll walk into a room. I'm thinking, okay, I got to go get this, and it's in the other room. I walk to the other room, and then I'm like, shit, what was I here for? And I'll totally forget. Then I'll go back to where I was, because then I think, okay, I'll remember. Then I remember, and I friggin' repeat the same thing again. I'll go in the room and I'll still forget. I'm like, this is called prep brain, guys. Prep brain. Because normally I'm not that forgetful. So, yes. Does anyone else have any prep brain stories? Feel free to share. But yeah, a lot of times, Dave, there are people that I won't bother when they're in prep. Or I'll wait till, you know, their set, you know, and I'll say, hey, good set, or, you know, with something like that to give them encouragement. But I won't necessarily have a conversation, because I know what it's like to feel tired. And people are oftentimes, you know, they'll be polite, and, you know, they want to, because they like the, you know, everyone wants to be supported, but we don't have the energy necessarily to acknowledge people or stand there and have a conversation. We're like, okay, I need my post-workout meal right now because I'm so hungry. Because I think a lot of people, like, hunger is the big piece. Here's the thing. When you're in prep, hunger is a big piece. It's very easy to have a meal, and you're like, is that it? I can have like 2 of those right now. And I would be one of those people who looks at the clock, counting down till my next meal. And again, that would be closer to the end, because my carbs get down. I'm one of those people who can't eat a whole lot of carbs because it stays on my body. So it has to go really low. Now, I had a coach who took me to a very dark place, because I was on, and I will not repeat this low, was 600 calories a day for 10 days. This is before peak week. 600 calories a day. I want you to think about that. That's 100, and that's eating 6 times a day. So it's 100 calories a meal for 10 days. I thought, and I was thinking, I'm going to get great results. By the end of the first day, I almost cried. I'm like, how am I going to get through this? And I didn't know it was going to take 10 days. He was just, my coach at the time said, let's just see how this plays out. So I had no idea when the ending was. It ended up being 10 days. And I was like, this is the longest 10 days. I honestly didn't think I was going to make it. I looked gray. I literally looked great. I prayed to God. I believe in God. And I prayed to God that when I got in my car, I would not crash my car getting to the gym. And then, because it would take everything I've had, whatever energy I had, I put totally into getting into my car, getting to the gym, putting it all in my workout, and trying to focus to get home, and then I would crash. Now, I still had to do work, but I think, no, did I actually go into work at that point? Yes, I did. Somehow I made it. I don't know how. When I look back at some of the things I did, I don't know how I got through it. I remember my coworkers workers were worried about me because I had a hard time standing up because I was so weak. So what I did learn is you take peak week off from work. And in fact, what I learned is you take 2 weeks if you can. Like for me, I work for myself, so it's a hit. I pay the price because I don't end up getting any income for those 2 weeks, but I get my sanity because I don't crash my car and I'm not like shaking because of the lack of food. It's just really crazy. But what I used to go through, it's like I never will go I will go low calories, but I won't go 600 calories again. That was just too low for me. Hoodie in the gym, way too hot, gonna boil your head promo. Yeah, you know what? I don't know if I would wear a hoodie. I think the hoodie idea is a great idea. But you know what, promo, what I would do is probably headphones. Not like, those big headphones, that like they really cover your ears and they have the band up here. So it's obvious and then it doesn't, and then who said don't avoid eye contact? Was that you, promo, or was that you, Michael? I can't remember. Or snitches. One of you said that. I'm trying to look in the chat. But one of you said, avoid contact. See, here's the thing. I'm kind of a people person. Even if I'm really tired, I'm a people person. And I'll smile because I want to acknowledge, a person smile at me and I want to smile back at them. That's just kind of me. But also if I know they're competing, I want to give them encouragement or say like, way to go. Or if I know they've been struggling lately, whether they competed or not, because we've chatted before, I'll give them a thumbs up, or I'll see someone, after doing the hack squat and they're shaky and I'll applaud them, or, there's just, it's just, you want to have that comradeship. But sometimes I am in my own little bubble and I literally don't see people. I know people are around and they're training. I can hear them, but I get into this bubble. And everything gets like blurry around me. And I'm just literally focused on me and the machine and the muscles I'm working on. A lot of times, I don't have any footage to show you guys because I don't tape myself in the gym. I'm just not one of those people. I know there's some people who are really good about taping themselves. I'm not one of them. I go to the gym to train. But I close my eyes a lot of time because I want to focus in. I'm just zeroing in on what I'm supposed to be doing because I don't want any distractions. So that's why I do close my eyes when I do a set. Now, sometimes I'll open my eyes to make sure, my form is good. If there's a mirror, depending on what I'm doing, to make sure like my elbows are in or whatever. If I'm doing a tricep push down, seeing my tricep or whatever, sometimes I'll do that. But for the most time, I will focus on the muscle and I'll have my eyes closed and just be in the present moment at what I'm doing. That's at least what helps me. Kevin, I just done that today with my glasses. Okay, Kevin. You know what? This is, Kevin, also why it's important to have more than one pair of glasses, if you can. I get these cheapies, these cheap little glasses. I think I even got them, I don't know if it's through Costco or Amazon. But you get like, 3 or 5 pairs. So I like, same prescription, but they're like in different areas of my, one in the bedroom, one in my TV room kind of thing. One in my, if I have, a car or whatever, something like that. I gotta run into them one of these days. But yeah, they're just kind of cheapy things. Michael, wow, that's crazy. Yeah, Michael, it's not even healthy. When I spoke to everyone else about what I was doing, they're like, no. And this is actually from a coach. Here's the thing. I've had good coaches and I've had great coaches. And I've had coaches that meant well, but they weren't educated enough. So I don't want to, here's the thing. I've learned something from every coach. So even though it wasn't the right thing to do, and knowing what I know now, would I've ever done that? No, and I wouldn't have gone to that particular coach. But I learned a lot from every single coach I've ever worked with. So whether they were good for me or not, I'd learned something from them. So I don't regret it because like I said, it was a learning experience. But now I have a much better idea of what is healthier, despite having to suffer. Because here's the thing. To get ready for a show, you do have to suffer. Okay. To some degree, you do have to suffer. For me, I have to suffer a lot because I'm a female, I'm older, and I don't have the genetics and I pack on fat like crazy. But I know that there's sacrifice. I'm willing to do the sacrifice, but I also know what's healthier to sacrifice versus not. Going 600 calories for me, no. 1100 probably. 1100 is probably, something I'd go down to, maybe even 1000. But 600 is just too low. It was crazy low. Okay, do you go below the Bmr calories for preps? Okay, now is that 1,000 calories? I'm trying to remember. How is Bmr calculated? Is that based on height? Is that based on age? I'm trying to remember how that's based. Michael, can you remind me? Because right now, okay, to answer your question, I don't count my calories. I'm with coaches where they don't count calories. They give me a food plan. Because what I used to do is to take the food plan, I'd put it in something called MyFitnessPal. It was an app. If you get you can get it for free. And I just download all the information, and then it would calculate all the calories for me. I'm at a point now where I don't care about the calories. If this is my plan, if this is what I'm supposed to eat, that's what I'm going to eat. And when they drop my calories, I don't see how low I go. I literally follow the plan. So I'm like this little soldier. You give me directions, I'm going to follow them. So I'm like a good little client that way. So it's just kind of like, if you tell me to eat dirt, I'll eat dirt. Please don't ask me to eat dirt, but if there's protein in it, I'll probably eat dirt. Promo, the big headphones are annoying and will irritate when you sweat. The earbuds work way better for me. You know what? I found Promo, I did try the headphones. I'm only saying the headphones to kind of dissuade people from approaching. But for me, I have a small head. So the thing is, headphones tend to fall off me. And even if they do stay on for certain exercises, others I'm knocking them over. Or especially when I do an ab workout, and I'll do like crunches of some sort or different types of workout, they slip. So I do the earbud thing too, for me. So, but yeah, as far as, people not disturbing me, either I will try to avoid eye contact a little bit. For people I kind of scout and I know I'll just do a quick hello. But yeah, some people can get away with the big headphones for sure. But yeah, they can be annoying, especially for small heads. Kevin, I do have more glasses. I still lose them. Well, Kevin, I hope you have a lot of cheap pairs, because then at least it won't be so costly to replace them if you have to order more. But yeah, glasses are kind of easy to lose sometimes. Michael, based on height, weight, and age, okay, the BMR is supposed to be the minimum calories to survive. Okay, so when it comes to prep, I used to use that. Before I started competing, I used to use the BMR. Keep in mind, the BMR is not for bodybuilders. The BMR is for people who are not as active. So it's for the regular kind of people. But they're not for bodybuilders. And again, bodybuilders does not mean you have to compete, but because of our caloric intake and how we're training, it's kind of like, if you do a blood test, even if you're a natural, if you have a blood test and you train hard at the gym, your liver enzymes are going to be higher. So just from, can your liver enzymes be higher if you do PEDs? Of course. But I'm saying hard training alone can increase your liver enzymes. So you have to be careful what the measurements are or what's considered normal in certain kind of contexts, because if you're a bodybuilder, you're an exception to the rule because of the way we train and because of the way we eat. Again, regular people don't eat and train like we do. And that's why they can come up with these other kind of calculations. Now, I'm not saying, if your liver enzyme is way out, don't pay attention to it. I'm just saying you have to consider the factors that might be involved in that. So the BMR is not something I would use, especially now that I'm a bodybuilder. So I hope I answered that question. If I'm not clear, then just kind of certainly ask it again, or say, please clarify, or something to that effect, so I can answer your question, please. My Bmr is 1850, but I am losing fat and gaining muscle 2,300 a day because my is around 3,300. Okay. And Michael, here's the other thing about the BMR. It reminds me, even if you take something, whether it's the BMR, whether it's a diet, whether it's a workout, what works for one person won't necessarily work out for another. And why would that be? Because we all have different, let's say, and even if you take into account, let's say, your gender, your height, your weight, your age, like even if those are considered in the context of your measurement, we have different metabolisms. You know, our stress levels may be different. So there's kind of outside factors that can impact this. So for someone, they might have a BMR, let's say of the 1850, and that might be good for them. And that might just keep them at a homeostasis. That might keep them at, let's say, a maintenance level, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But for other people, they'll be taking 1850 and that won't be enough calories because, like, to your point, your caloric intake is higher. So you'll need to eat more calories. Doesn't mean you're going to gain fat. You're going to actually burn those calories to use as fuel so you can actually build more muscle, because with those extra calories, let's say with carbs, you'll be able to push heavier weights in the gym. So that's what will contribute to the lean muscle mass. So yeah, I think it depends on the person. So I would never rely just on the BMR. Like it gives you some type of general idea, but again, keep extenuating circumstances in mind when you figure out what should you be. And here's the thing, it's trial and error. And it's not to say you have to necessarily figure out your BMR. Like I say, if you work with somebody, it's trial and error as far as your carbs, proteins, and fats, and see what works for you. But if I would say give it, about 2 weeks before you change it up. Sometimes it takes anywhere between 2 and 3 weeks to find out, depending on your body, how you're responding. Because if all of a sudden you're having the 1850, I think that was the 1850. Yeah, if your BMR was 1850, and let's say all of a sudden you start dropping weight like crazy, you likely are you either have a really fast metabolism, something's going on where you need to put in a lot more calories. Now, even if you're, say, 1850, and let's say this one wasn't the case for you, Michael, but let's say it was the case where you had the 1850, but you started gaining weight. Don't panic. Don't panic, because your body might be adjusting to the change in the nutrition plan. That's why I'm saying give it anywhere between, maybe it might be 2 weeks before you might have to change it. But it could be as soon as 1 week. Again, it depends on how you're feeling. Don't wait like 2 days. If it doesn't work, give up on it. Sometimes you need to give diets a little bit longer. For people, let's say, are switching, let's say keto. If you go from, and I mean true keto, I mean like no carbs. It takes your body a while to adjust to that. I'm not telling people to necessarily go on keto. I'm saying if there's a change, it's about giving your body a chance to change, to adapt to the change, and then see how that change affects your body. Some people adapt really well to keto, and some people, and it might even not be for a long period of time. It might just be to shake things up a bit. It's like when, you can find a great training program and your body responds really well, and then you might do something what we call plateau. So it's about having a hard time getting past a certain marker and not being able to get improvements. Sometimes your body needs a change. So you just change it up a little bit for a period of time, and then you can go back to that training program if you want. So if you want to do carbs for a period of time, then go keto. But this is all playing, guys. It'd be good to work with a professional on this. Go for keto for a while, but there's going to be a point of diminishing returns where you're not going to get the response. Then you might have to reintroduce carbs, but it's being careful on how you reintroduce the carbs. You don't just slam carbs back. You start probably with low carb days initially. But again, that's where, working with coaches can be really helpful. And it takes the guesswork out. Let's see, promo. After the COVID lockdown, I lost 36 pounds in 13 weeks. Wow, never counted a calorie. Promo, genetics, and you've got willpower. Are you sure you don't want to be a bodybuilder? You've got willpower and genetics, dude. And look at that. You lost 36 pounds in 13. You never counted. So you never counted a calorie. That's amazing, promo. It's really cool. I think that's really cool. Now, when you said you lost 36 weeks after the COVID lockdown, what did you do differently to lose, since you weren't counting a calorie? What were you doing after the COVID lockdown in order to lose those 36 pounds? That's 2 pounds a week. That's amazing. For 13 weeks. Because it's one thing to say, you lost some weight, let's say for the first few weeks, but then it usually kind of plateaus. But then that's 13 weeks of losing weight. And that's without losing a calorie. So I'm just curious how you did that. If you don't mind sharing, that would be great if you could share that. I wonder how low Ian got down in his calories and how low Antoine got in his calories. It would be interesting. I don't know if anyone knows. If anyone knows how many calories they got down to in their prep, that'd be cool to know. In fact, I don't even know how much they weighed on stage. But yeah, again, kudos to both Ian and to Antoine Valiant. They did a great job at the Vancouver Pro this past weekend. And like I said, I hope, good for Ian. He's got his ticket to go to the Olympia. And Antoine, I hope he does another show. He looked phenomenal. I'm definitely cheering him on. I'd love to see him on the Olympus stage. So if anyone, by the way, if anyone else has any questions or any other kind of comments, feel free to post it in the chat. I do check the chat messages because when I'm in iron therapy, for some reason, I can't see the chat. There was only once I could see the chat and the other times I couldn't see the chat. I got to figure something out because I want to respond to you guys, but I can't respond if I can't see the chat. Promo, just eating healthy and a lot less and train heavy almost every day. And I work you work in construction. Promo, that's like a workout into itself, like a full day workout construction. So I already burn out a lot of calories. No wonder. Okay. You train heavy and you do construction. That's like double workouts, dude. I'm hoping your caloric intake is high to be able to accommodate all that. But that's great. Are you happy, by the way, Promo? Yeah, it makes it easier. Promo, are you happy with where your weight is right now? Training twice a day and you have willpower. I think that's phenomenal. Antoine posted his lowest day at 2680 for him. Okay, interesting. Michael, thank you for sharing that. His lowest day at 2680. Craziness. Yeah, he looked so, I think that's for me. And again, this is based on pictures. I wasn't there at the Vancouver Pro, and I know pictures aren't always an accurate representation of how the guys looked, but based on pictures, I think that's the most conditioned I've ever seen Antoine. If anyone disagrees, by all means, post it. I'm happy to kind of look up pictures, but I think, and again, these based on pictures, that is the most conditioned I've ever seen Antoine. Like I said, I hope he does another show because I'd love to see him at the Olympia. Okay, we'll probably have about a few more minutes and I'm going to have to wrap up. So if anyone has any questions or comments, please post them in the chat. And anyone who wants to, let's say you're a little bit shy of posting something on the chat, but you have a question, you can always send me a DM through Instagram. So my Instagram handle is LesleyT_mental_iron. I believe that's in my chat box below. Or just send me a message when I end the stream, it gets posted on YouTube, and just hit a comment. And I will check the comments later. I have to hop on a client call, but I'll check messages because I always reply to all my messages. So you can always hit post a question or a comment below. And if you have ideas for future topics, I'm certainly open to them, whether we talk them about here or if you want me to take those topics to my show with Dave on iron therapy, I'm happy to do that. I recently did a question and answer where a lot of questions I was asked, on DMs we haven't had a chance to address, and I did a full episode, and I believe that was the holiday Monday. That was Monday, July 4th, because when there's a holiday, U.S. holiday, Dave and I can't do the show because he's got his kids around and they're a little crazy, so it's hard for him to do the show. So that's when I did my live Q&A to address any questions that didn't get answered yet. But yeah, so in anyone, because I keep in mind, I know a lot of people are working throughout the day, so they can't join live. So anyone who's watching this after the fact and you want to ask questions, or like I said, post ideas for future, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, give me some love, subscribe to the channel, so I can, I want to continue giving you guys content. But let me know, like I said, what kind of content do you want to see? What kind of topics do you want me to cover? Because I do separate videos. So I do this live. I mean, obviously on Mondays, I do 2 p.m. Well, today was a little bit later. Day was running a little bit late. But normally it's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do iron therapy, Dave and I. And then after that, I do this mental iron. And then usually Wednesdays or Thursdays, and then Fridays, once or twice the rest of the week, I will do separate videos on certain kind of topics. So if there's any kind of topic you want me to cover, like I said, post it either in the chat or in the messages below so I can make a note, and I'm happy to do a video on that, or a discussion, whatever you guys prefer. Okay, so I'm now leaner. Okay, promo. Okay, then before COVID, but not yet strong before COVID, but almost there. Promo, with you doing what you're doing and your mindset, you're going to be there. I have no doubt. I have no doubt at all. I think you're a good guy, Promo. Really good. Really inspiring, actually. Michael, good show, Lesley. Thanks for chatting with us. Michael, I'm happy to do it. Like I said, I'm here after every iron therapy show. And even if there's not an iron therapy show, if it happens to be a holiday Monday, I will always have a live here. If for some reason I will post on my YouTube that it's been changed to a different day. But I want to keep it on the same day, which is Monday. And it's usually going to be about 2:35 when iron therapy finishes. But like I said, we just started a bit later today. But normally we're pretty good about starting around 2. How about the difference between people who get stuck in their hometowns and who leave and never go back to their homes as a top? Hey, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea, Michael. I like that. Oh, it's 10:52 in the evening for you, Promo. Promo, where do you live? I'm in Canada. Okay, Dave Thomas, thank you for a great show, Lesley, and answering questions. Dave, I'm so happy to do so. And again, if you guys have further questions, this is what I'm here for. I want to be able to answer that. What happened with you marrying Jimmy the Bull? Polly, welcome to my channel. Okay, so I posted about this. So I want to make sure that everyone knows me proposing to Jimmy was a joke. It was a joke. Everyone knew except for Jimmy. So Dave knew, John knew, Greg knew. Who else was on the show at the time? Chris wasn't on. Lee wasn't on. Who else was on? Okay. Anyway, everyone on the show knew it was a joke except for Jimmy. We told Jimmy after the show. He was laughing so hard. But do you notice? I don't know if you guys remember the show when I proposed to Jimmy. Initially, he was saying yes. And then later on, he was like, no. So he looked scared. But no, it was literally a joke. I had no intentions of marrying Jimmy, and I would never marry someone to get a green card, for the record, ever. So Jimmy, I like Jimmy, but just as a friend. Okay, he's a good guy. He makes me laugh. I think he should date probably one of the VA nurses because he needs someone to take care of him, and he needs to get a truck that actually works. And he could probably I think he needs to get out of New York because he's happy. Did you see how happy Jimmy was when he was in Florida? Is it Florida? Then when they went to Disney with Lee, he looked so freaking happy. I'm like, there you go. This is exactly why, Jimmy should not be in New York. But anyway, so I hope I answered your question that it was just a joke. Ancient One, good to see you. Cesspool Europe. You're in Europe? Hey, it could be worse, promo. It could be worse. I've never been to Europe, actually. I wouldn't mind. I would love to travel one of these days. Okay, Jimmy did get all bound up on the show. You know, it was so funny, Michael. He did do that. I call it the cha-cha. Like initially he was kind of like, yeah, let's get married. I think it was a joke. And then he thought we were really serious. Okay. But like I said, he did know afterwards. We did tell him afterwards. But yeah, I would. Us a lot better than Europe. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up because I do have another client I have to chat with. But you guys want to work with me, like shoot me a DM. I'm happy to work with you guys. If you just want to chat, come back. See Dave and I on Iron Therapy. Come and see me here, Mental Iron. Like I said, ask questions live, or if you can't join me live, put them in the chat below. And again, topics. I'm always open to topics. I'm here to help you guys with whatever you're struggling with. So yes, we talked about a little bit about the Vancouver Pro show. So it could be anything. And we talked a little bit about Calum today because I think a lot of people struggle with addictions. And obviously, if Calum ever reached out to me, I would work with him. I would keep him definitely accountable, but I would really want the best for him and have a specific strategy. And for a lot of us, whether you have addictions or not, a lot of times if we're lost or if we're repeating certain mistakes or we're not getting where we want to be in life, there's a reason. So sometimes it helps to talk to someone to kind of navigate it. So I tell people, you know what? I'm a GPS. I can give you directions, but it's up to you to take those directions. If you do, great. And if you don't, and we can collaborate on what the direction might be. If you don't like it, we might have to take some detours. But it's about getting to a goal. We got to set a goal. You have to know what your goal is. You have to be able to figure out what your strategy is. And if you can't do it on your own, like I said, hit me up. Let's work together. And if not, we can chat. I'm open to chatting. And again, I want to help educate you. I want to bring about the mental health piece to bodybuilders. And again, you can be in the fitness industry. I don't care. You can be a different type of athlete. This applies to people in business and other realms too. So a lot of this information, again, people talk about the mental health component as far as this being healthy, but I don't see anyone really doing it as far as providing strategies. They talk about it's important. I want to be here to give you guys strategies. So with that being said, I can be long-winded. Thanks for hanging in with me, guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and have a great day. Promo, it was great. Thank you for joining me, everyone. I really appreciate that. And yeah, subscribe to the show with Dave. Awesome. I appreciate it. Promo, I appreciate the love. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Ancient One. Underrated show on YouTube. Ancient One, do you want to be my promo person? My marketing person to get the word out there. That's awesome. You guys are awesome. I love you guys. Have a great day. And remember to keep your mental game on. Have a great one. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye for now.